Picture the astronomer, 3:47 in the morning, staring at data that makes no sense. Not the comfortable kind of confusion that comes with discovery, but the ice water down your spine realization that something is fundamentally wrong with what you're seeing. The spectroscopic readings from 3I-ATLAS do not match any comet ever observed. Not close. Not even in the same category of celestial mechanics. This is how it would begin. Not with drama. Not with presidential announcements or emergency broadcasts. It would start with silence. The kind of silence that fills a room when a researcher realizes their career-defining paper might instead be their species-defining nightmare. The object we have been calling a comet, the interstellar visitor that arrived in our solar system just months ago, would reveal itself through the most mundane of observations. Temperature signatures that violate thermodynamics, trajectory corrections that defy orbital mechanics, surface compositions that read like engineering materials rather than primordial ice and rock. The astronomer would run the calculations again, then a third time, fingers trembling over the keyboard, because the math keeps screaming the same impossible conclusion. 3I-ATLAS is not slowing down the way a comet should as it moves away from the sun. It is accelerating. Not dramatically. Not Hollywood-style engine burns that light up the sky. Just 0.003% faster than gravity alone would permit. Enough to be statistically significant. Enough to be deliberate. Enough to shatter everything we thought we understood about what is heading toward Earth. The confirmation would cascade through observatories like a virus. First, verification at a second facility. Protocol demands independent confirmation before any announcement, especially for claims this extraordinary. The team at the European Southern Observatory would point their instruments at 3I-ATLAS and find the same anomalies. Then the Keck Observatory in Hawaii, then the Atacama Large Millimeter Array in Chile. Each facility adding another piece to a puzzle that reveals a picture nobody wants to see. Spectral analysis would show elements that do not belong. Titanium alloys, carbon fiber composites, trace signatures of deuterium fusion. The kind of materials you find in spacecraft, not in objects formed 4.6 billion years ago in the primordial disk of a distant star system. The researchers would check for contamination. They would recalibrate their instruments. They would look for any possible explanation that lets them sleep at night. There would not be one. The thermal imaging would be damning. 3I-ATLAS is cold. Far too cold for something that recently passed perihelion, the closest point to our sun. A natural comet that size, roughly 24 kilometers across, should be outgassing violently, should be shedding megatons of material, should be blazing in infrared, as solar radiation boils away its surface. Instead, 3I-ATLAS maintains a temperature barely above cosmic background radiation, as if it is actively refrigerating itself. As if something inside requires precise environmental conditions, as if it is protecting a payload. Then come the radar returns. Military installations track objects in space as a matter of routine. Planetary defense systems designed to spot asteroids that might threaten Earth. When multiple facilities bounce radio waves off 3I-ATLAS, the echoes tell a story that makes no geological sense. The surface is smooth, unnaturally smooth, regions of perfect geometry, angles that measure exactly 90 degrees, curves with mathematical precision, patterns that repeat with manufacturing tolerances. One researcher would notice it first. Buried in the data, a faint electromagnetic signature pulsing from the object. Not random, not natural, a rhythm. 1.42 gigahertz, the hydrogen line frequency, the universal calling card that SETI researchers have listened for since we started pointing radio telescopes at the stars, hoping someone out there might be trying to reach us. Except 3I-ATLAS is not trying to reach us. It is already here, and that signal is not saying hello. Analysis would show it is a ranging pulse, the kind of active sensor sweep a military aircraft uses to map terrain before an attack. 3I-ATLAS is measuring us, cataloguing our electromagnetic spectrum, learning the signature of our communications, our radar, our satellites, building a database of everything we put into space so it knows exactly what to destroy first. The scientific community would have perhaps 72 hours before this information becomes impossible to contain. 72 hours of encrypted communications between observatories. 72 hours of emergency calls to government liaisons. 72 hours of scientists looking at their children differently, wondering what world they will inherit. Intelligence agencies would be briefed simultaneously. The National Security Agency, Homeland Security, the Pentagon. Parallel meetings in Moscow, Beijing, London, Paris, New Delhi. Classified briefings where military officials see the same data and reach the same conclusions their civilian counterparts desperately tried to avoid. 3I-ATLAS displays intentional control. 3I-ATLAS shows technological signatures. 3I-ATLAS is not a comet. 3I-ATLAS is a ship. The astrophysics alone would seal the verdict. Natural objects do not correct their trajectories. They follow orbital mechanics with the precision of clockwork. But 3I-ATLAS made 3 course corrections since entering the solar system. Tiny adjustments. Thruster burns measured in meters per second of delta V, just enough to keep it on an intercept path with Earth while maintaining the facade of a gravitational orbit, just enough to make us think we are safe. Materials analysis would reveal the coup de grace. Spectrographic examination shows absorption lines that match no natural process. Molecular bonds that require industrial temperatures and pressures to form. Crystalline structures that only emerge in manufactured environments. The surface of 3I-ATLAS contains compounds that cannot exist in nature. Full stop. These are synthetic materials. Someone made them. Someone built this. Then there is the rotation problem. 3I-ATLAS spins with perfect stability. No wobble, no precession, no nutation. It rotates around its axis with the precision of a gyroscopically stabilized platform. Natural objects, especially ones that have been flying through space for millions of years, tumble chaotically. They get hit by micrometeorites. They shed mass unevenly when they outguess. They wobble like a badly thrown football. 3I-ATLAS spins like it is mounted on bearings. The final piece comes from gravitational analysis. Multiple observatories track the object using parallax, measuring its position from different points on Earth to calculate its mass through gravitational perturbation. The numbers do not match. 3I-ATLAS is too light. Given its size, assuming comet composition of ice and rock, it should mass approximately 10 trillion kilograms. Instead, it masses closer to 1 trillion kilograms. It is hollow. It has internal volume. It has cargo space. Imagine being the first person to present this information to a room full of generals and cabinet members, standing at a podium with slides showing spectral lines and radar plots, watching faces change as the implications sink in, hearing the questions start. Can we stop it? Can we communicate with it? Can we evacuate? And having to answer one by one, we do not know. We do not know. There is nowhere to go. The confirmation would be absolute. Multiple independent measurements using different methodologies, all converging on the same conclusion. Peer review compressed into hours instead of months. Every check performed. Every alternative explanation exhausted. The scientific method pushed to its limit and returning a verdict that shatters our cosmic isolation. 3I-ATLAS is artificial. 3I-ATLAS is controlled. 3I-ATLAS is approaching Earth, and every piece of evidence suggests its intentions are not benevolent. Because if an advanced civilization wanted to make contact, they would send a signal. They would announce themselves. They would give us time to prepare, to welcome them, to celebrate first contact. They would not disguise their ship as a comet. They would not hide among the debris of the solar system. They would not correct course in secret. They would not scan our defences with military precision. You do not camouflage yourself unless you are hunting. The international coordination would happen in stages. First, the Five Eyes intelligence network. The United States, United Kingdom, Canada, Australia, New Zealand. Secure channels, lighting up with encrypted data packets. Then expansion to NATO allies. Then to spacefaring nations, Russia, China, India, Japan, the European Space Agency, each briefing more urgent than the last. Each presentation met with the same initial skepticism that crumbles under the weight of evidence. Think about what this means for the researchers involved. These are people who dedicated their lives to understanding the cosmos, who dreamed of finding proof we are not alone, who imagined first contact as humanity's greatest moment. Now they sit in windowless rooms explaining to military commanders that their childhood dreams have become a waking nightmare, that the aliens they hope to meet are not coming in peace. The psychological toll would be immediate and severe. Depression, anxiety, insomnia. How do you sleep when you know what is coming? How do you have dinner with your family and make small talk about homework and soccer practice when you have classified knowledge that everything might end in months? Some researchers would break under the strain, take medical leave, check themselves into hospitals, require medication just to function. Others would throw themselves into the work with manic intensity, 20-hour days, sleeping in their offices, drinking coffee until their hands shake. Because what else can you do? You cannot unknow what you know. You cannot unsee what you have seen in the data. So you work, you measure, you calculate, you prepare, you do something, anything, to feel like you have control in a situation where control is an illusion. The amateur astronomy community would notice irregularities independently. Backyard observers with 12-inch telescopes and CCD cameras. They would see the trajectory anomalies. They would measure the unusual spectrum. They would post their findings on forums and in chat groups. And they would wonder why the professional astronomy community had gone suddenly quiet about 3I-ATLAS. Why the papers stopped appearing. Why the press conferences ended. Why the subject became strangely taboo. Some would guess correctly. The conspiracy theories would start early, months before official confirmation. Posts on Reddit, videos on YouTube, threads on Twitter. Most would be dismissed as paranoid speculation. Crazy talk from people who see patterns in random noise, but a few would be uncomfortably accurate, close enough to the truth that intelligence agencies would start monitoring the accounts, preparing contingency plans for information containment that would ultimately prove impossible. The Vatican Observatory would confirm the findings independently. Jesuit astronomers with centuries of experience watching the heavens, they would bring their own data to Rome. Briefings with senior cardinals, urgent meetings behind closed doors, the Catholic Church preparing for a theological earthquake before the world even knows there is ground to shake. Other religious institutions would receive similar warnings, quiet briefings, confidential information, prepare your flock, something is coming. Defence contractors would get pulled into classified projects. Lockheed Martin, Northrop Grumman, Boeing, Raytheon. Engineers with top-secret clearances suddenly diverted to new programs. Black budget allocations appearing overnight. Weapon systems fast-tracked through development. Concepts that seemed like science fiction 6 months ago, now receiving unlimited funding and presidential priority. Build it. Build it now. We do not have time for the usual bureaucracy. The scientific instruments would continue their vigil. The James Webb Space Telescope, the Hubble, ground-based observatories across 6 continents, all pointed at 3I-ATLAS, watching, measuring, recording every detail, building a database of its behaviour, its capabilities, its technology, learning everything possible about an enemy we do not understand and cannot stop. And the object would continue its approach, steady, inexorable, following the laws of orbital mechanics while simultaneously violating them, getting closer to Earth with each passing day, each observation showing more detail, more evidence, more confirmation that this is not natural, that this is not friendly, that this is not going to end well. The moment of confirmation would not be a single instant. It would be a cascade, a series of revelations building on each other, each piece of evidence adding to the mountain of proof, each measurement narrowing the possibilities until only one explanation remains, until denial becomes impossible, until acceptance becomes mandatory. You do not camouflage yourself unless you are hunting. The researchers would know it first, then the military, then the politicians, and finally, inevitably, the world. The moment of confirmation would ripple outward from those first observations at 3:47 in the morning until it touched every living person on Earth. The moment when we stop being alone in the universe. The moment when we realise being alone might have been better. The moment when everything changes. Because once you confirm 3I-ATLAS is a mothership, once you prove beyond any scientific doubt that it is artificial, that it is controlled, that it is heading toward us with clear intent, there is no going back. There is no comfortable uncertainty. There is no maybe it is just an unusual comet. There is only the clock ticking down and the question nobody wants to ask. What happens when it gets here? The data would be irrefutable, the conclusion inescapable, the timeline fixed. 3I-ATLAS is a ship, 3I-ATLAS is a threat, and 3I-ATLAS is coming. Welcome to the end of everything we thought we knew. Welcome to the confirmation that we are not alone. Welcome to the moment when humanity looks up at the stars and realizes something up there is looking back, and it is not friendly. The global announcement. The decision to tell 7.8, billion people that an alien mothership is approaching Earth with hostile intent falls to people who never trained for this moment. No protocol exists, no playbook, no historical precedent for announcing the potential end of human civilization in a way that minimizes panic while maximizing preparation time. The debates would rage for days in secure facilities. Release everything immediately, partial disclosure, gradual revelation. Each option carries catastrophic risks. Tell everyone at once and you trigger global chaos. Financial markets collapse, governments fall, society fractures. Hold back information and you rob people of time to say goodbye to loved ones. Make peace with their existence. Prepare however they can for what comes next. The United Nations Security Council would convene in emergency session. Closed doors, no press, no observers. Representatives from 15 nations sitting around a table, trying to craft words that can somehow soften the hardest truth humanity has ever faced. The Chinese delegation argues for controlled information release, state-managed disclosure. The Americans push for immediate transparency. The Russians want military options explored before any public statement. The French demand coordination with religious leaders. Every nation bringing its own agenda to a crisis that recognizes no borders. They would settle on simultaneous announcement, a coordinated global broadcast. Every nation releasing the information at the same moment across all time zones, preventing information arbitrage, stopping any single country from gaining advantage through early disclosure. The statement would be written and rewritten 47 times, each word scrutinized by linguists, psychologists, military strategists, religious advisors. How do you tell people the monsters are real? The timing becomes its own nightmare. Announced during business hours in New York and it is the middle of the night in Tokyo. Released during evening in London and Los Angeles is eating breakfast. Some populations will receive this news in darkness, others in daylight. The psychological impact of learning about existential threat while the sun is shining versus learning while alone in the dark. These factors matter. These factors get debated for hours by experts in human behavior and social psychology. They would choose a Sunday, 1400 hours universal time, 2 p.m. in London, 9 a.m. in New York, 10 p.m. in Tokyo, families together, people home from work, maximum audience, minimum disruption to critical infrastructure that needs workers present. The date gets set. The countdown begins. 72 hours until the world changes forever. Governments pre-position military forces, not for defence against 3I-ATLAS, for maintaining order after the announcement. Troops mobilised, riot gear distributed, plans activated for martial law in case society fractures. Because the simulations all show the same result, some percentage of the population will break, will panic, will riot, will loot, will hurt themselves and others. The question is not whether chaos comes. The question is how much and for how long. Financial markets would be frozen globally in advance, trading suspended on every exchange, banks closed, electronic transfers disabled, because the models show what happens when people learn civilization might end. Everyone tries to liquidate assets simultaneously. Everyone withdraws cash. Everyone converts paper wealth to physical goods. The entire economic system seizes like an engine without oil. Better to shut it down in controlled fashion than let it explode. The media gets briefed 6 hours before public announcement. Every major news organisation, simultaneous embargoed briefings in capitals around the world, show them the evidence, the spectral analysis, the trajectory data, the radar returns, give them time to repair coverage, to write scripts, to position reporters, to ready the infrastructure for the largest story in human history, and warn them, explicitly, clearly. If you break embargo early, if you release information before the coordinated announcement, you will face criminal prosecution under national security laws. None break embargo. The weight of responsibility proves too heavy. Journalists who spent careers chasing scoops and racing competitors now sit on the biggest story ever told and honour an agreement to wait. Because they understand. Break this early and people die. Panic spreads. Society fractures. This is not about ratings. This is about survival. Religious leaders receive advance briefing. The Pope, the Dalai Lama, the Archbishop of Canterbury, Grand Ayatollahs, chief rabbis, Hindu leaders, Buddhist monks, every major faith tradition. They meet with scientists, see the evidence, understand what is coming. Then they pray. They consult texts. They debate theology. They prepare messages for their followers about faith in the face of extinction. About meaning when meaning seems lost. About hope when hope appears foolish. The broadcast would be unprecedented. Every television channel, every radio station, every streaming service, simultaneous transmission in 200 languages, the President of the United States, the Secretary General of the United Nations, leaders from China, Russia, India, the European Union, all appearing together, united in a way humanity has never managed before, united by threat, united by fear, united by the simple fact that national interests become irrelevant when the entire species faces extinction. The President speaks first, Oval Office, American flag behind them, face grave, voice steady, my fellow Americans, my fellow citizens of Earth. I speak to you today with the most difficult message any leader has ever delivered. 3 months ago, astronomers detected an object entering our solar system. We believed it was a comet. We were wrong. The object is artificial. The object is controlled. The object is approaching Earth. And we have no evidence its intentions are peaceful. 30 seconds. That is how long it takes to shatter the world. 30 seconds of carefully crafted words that invalidate every assumption about our place in the universe. We are not alone. We are not safe. We are not in control. The United Nations Secretary General follows, reinforcing, confirming. This is not an American assessment. This is a global conclusion reached through international cooperation and multiple independent verification. The evidence is conclusive. The threat is real. The time remaining is limited. We ask for calm. We ask for cooperation. We ask for humanity to face this challenge together. Then, the scientists. Astrophysicists presenting data in simplified form, showing trajectory plots, explaining spectral anomalies, making the case in terms public can understand. This is not speculation. This is not conspiracy. This is physics. This is mathematics. This is reality. And reality is approaching at 130,000 miles per hour. Social media would explode instantly. Millions of posts per second. Millions of reactions. Shock. Denial. Anger. Fear. Disbelief. The algorithms that normally promote engagement and optimize for attention suddenly face content that breaks their models. How do you trend the end of the world? How do you recommend posts about alien invasion? The platforms would struggle. Many would crash. Too much traffic. Too much emotion. Too much of everything happening at once. Stock markets remain frozen, but unofficial trading begins immediately. Cryptocurrency exchanges that cannot be shut down. Peer-to-peer transactions. Barter economies emerging. Gold prices soaring in grey markets. Ammunition. Food. Medicine. Anything tangible. Anything real. Paper wealth. Becoming obviously meaningless when paper might not exist in 6 months. Churches fill within hours. Mosques. Synagogues. Temples. Shrines. People seeking comfort in faith. Seeking answers from traditions thousands of years old. Seeking community in the face of cosmic threat. Attendance at religious services would spike to levels not seen since medieval times. Standing room only. Services running continuously. Priests and rabbis and imams counselling non-stop. Trying to make sense. Trying to provide hope. Trying to help people process the unprocessable. Emergency rooms flood with panic attacks, heart palpitations, hyperventilation, psychological breaks. The medical system strains immediately. Hospitals implementing triage for mental health crises. Psychiatric beds filling. Medication shortages developing within days as everyone who's ever had anxiety disorder suddenly needs pharmaceutical help to function. Schools close. Universities suspend classes. What is the point of homework when homework might not matter? What is the purpose of education when there might not be a future to prepare for? Teachers and professors sent home, students released to families, standardized, tests cancelled, application deadlines suspended, the entire infrastructure of childhood development and human capital formation grinding to halt. Some people would react with defiance, parties in the streets, live music, dancing, drugs, sex. If the world is ending, experience everything now. Hedonism as coping mechanism. Cities like New Orleans, Las Vegas, Amsterdam seeing surges in activity, people booking flights just to be somewhere when it happens, dark tourism to sites of historical catastrophe, standing where others died, feeling alive by proximity to death. Others withdraw completely, seal themselves in homes, order supplies, stockpile, prepare. The prepper community vindicated. Everything they warned about, everything they planned for, suddenly not crazy, suddenly not paranoid, suddenly the only rational people in a world gone mad, their bunkers and guns and freeze-dried food transforming from punchline to survival strategy. The conspiracy theorists would fracture into camps, some claiming this is fake, government psyop, mass manipulation. Nothing is really coming. This is about control, about power, about implementing global government. Others claiming they knew all along, that they tried to warn everyone, that the evidence was always there if people opened their eyes. Both groups loud, both groups convinced, neither group mattering because the object continues its approach regardless of belief. Families would gather, relatives flying across continents to be together, old grudges forgotten, petty disputes abandoned, estranged parents calling children, divorced couples meeting one final time, because whatever comes next should be faced with the people you love, or the people you once loved, or the people you should have loved better. Time running out makes clarity arrive fast. Suicide rates would spike immediately, hotlines overwhelmed, prevention services unable to handle volume, people choosing their own ending rather than waiting for one imposed by aliens, jumping from buildings, pills, guns, choosing control in the only way remaining, choosing death with dignity over death with terror. The statistics would be suppressed, the numbers classified, no point adding to collective despair. But births would continue, babies arriving into a world that might not survive their first birthday, parents holding newborns and crying, not from joy, from guilt, from sorrow, from the horror of bringing life into existence during extinction, yet choosing to continue anyway, choosing hope despite evidence, choosing humanity despite aliens, choosing life despite death. The announcement would reverberate for weeks, each nation responding according to culture, some with stoicism, some with hysteria, some with rage, some with resignation, but all responding, all processing, all trying to adapt to a reality where the sky is no longer empty and the universe is no longer indifferent. 7.8 billion people now looking up, now watching, now waiting. The announcement made, the truth told, the clock ticking, and 3I-ATLAS getting closer with each passing day. Religious earthquake. The Vatican releases its statement 48 hours after the global announcement. Not coincidentally, 48 hours is roughly how long Christian theologians have debated the implications behind closed doors in Rome. The Pope speaks from St. Peter's Square to a crowd of 100,000 faithful and cameras, broadcasting to billions more. His words are measured, carefully constructed, revised by committees of cardinals and biblical scholars. God's creation is vast beyond human comprehension, he begins. The universe contains 400 billion stars in our galaxy alone, 2 trillion galaxies in the observable universe. To believe God's creative power stops at Earth is to diminish the divine. The existence of other intelligences, even hostile ones, does not challenge faith. It deepens it. It reveals the magnitude of God's plan in ways we never imagined. The theological gymnastics are impressive. Christianity has prepared for this moment more than most religions realize. Centuries of scholars debating hypotheticals. What if God created life on other worlds? Would they have original sin? Would they need salvation? Did Christ die for them too? The questions existed long before 3I-ATLAS appeared in our telescopes. Now those academic debates become doctrine, become lifeline, become the difference between faith surviving or collapsing under existential pressure. But the Pope's measured words cannot paper over the crisis fracturing Christianity into fragments. Conservative evangelical denominations reject the statement entirely. These are not aliens, they preach. These are demons, fallen angels, the forces of Satan arriving for the final battle described in Revelation. This is the apocalypse, the end times, the tribulation. And believers should rejoice because it means Christ returns soon. Rapture is coming. The faithful will be taken. Let the aliens have the earth. Heaven awaits. Progressive denominations take opposite approach. This is opportunity. Chance to demonstrate Christian values of love and peace even toward alien species. Perhaps these visitors can be converted. Perhaps they have souls to save. Perhaps God sent them not as destroyers but as teachers, showing humanity its flaws, forcing introspection, catalyzing spiritual evolution, the invasion as divine intervention rather than cosmic accident. Catholic churches see attendance triple. Confession lines stretching for hours. People seeking absolution before the end. Priests hearing sins they never imagined. Confessions of murders, affairs, abuse, theft, hatred. Everything spilling out in desperate bids for forgiveness. Because if you die when 3I-ATLAS attacks, better to die in state of grace. Better to face judgment with clean soul. Better to take no chances with eternal damnation when temporal existence already hangs. By thread. Protestant megachurches split dramatically. Some pastors embrace the crisis, pack stadiums with 20,000 people praying together, healing services, speaking in tongues, prophesying about God's plan, building faith through shared intensity. Others shutter entirely, pastors losing their own faith, unable to reconcile benevolent God with approaching doom, walking away from pulpits, abandoning congregations, choosing honest doubt over false comfort. Islam faces its own theological earthquake. The grand mosque in Mecca overflows with pilgrims, people making Hajj regardless of timing, regardless of proper season. Because who knows if next year comes? Who knows if the Kaaba still stands in 6 months? The obligation to visit once in lifetime becomes urgent when lifetime might end soon. Islamic scholars convene emergency councils, debating whether aliens qualify as believers. The Quran speaks of God creating all beings in heavens and earth. Jinn exist in Islamic theology, non-human entities with intelligence and agency. Perhaps aliens are simply another form of God's creation. Perhaps they too submit to divine will. Or perhaps they reject it. Perhaps they are the promised trial, the test of faith that separates true believers from pretenders. Shiite and Sunni tensions diminish somewhat. Hard to maintain sectarian warfare when extinction looms, though some radical groups see opportunity. Declare jihad against the aliens, holy war against invaders. Martyrdom awaits those who fight. Paradise guaranteed for those who die resisting. Recruiting surges among young men seeking meaning, seeking purpose, seeking glorious death over meaningless survival. Judaism responds with characteristic debate, rabbis arguing every angle, the Talmudic tradition of examining questions from all perspectives applied to alien invasion. Some cite texts suggesting God created multiple worlds, multiple humanities, multiple covenants. The chosen people of earth are one chosen people among many. Others argue this violates fundamental precepts, that covenant with Israel is unique, that Torah is specific to human beings, that aliens, if they exist outside God's plan for salvation. Orthodox communities in Brooklyn, Jerusalem, Bnei Brak retreat inward, strengthen observance, study more intensely. If the world ends, better to end following mitzvot, following commandments, maintaining kosher homes, and Sabbath observance and prayer schedules. Structure against chaos, tradition against uncertainty. The same behaviours that sustained Jewish communities through pogroms and crusades and Holocaust now deployed against alien threat. Reform and conservative movements struggle more, their theology less literal, their approach more questioning. Hard to maintain rational analysis when rationality suggests doom. Hard to find meaning in ritual when ritual seems pointless. But they try, they gather, they pray, they seek community even when answers prove elusive. Buddhism handles the crisis with philosophical equanimity that appears superhuman to outsiders. The Dalai Lama speaks from Dharamsala, smiling, calm. All life is suffering, he reminds followers. This we have always known. The source of suffering is attachment. Attachment to earth. Attachment to human existence. Attachment to continuity of species. Let go of attachment and suffering ends. The aliens change nothing fundamental. Perhaps we die next week. Perhaps next year. Perhaps today. We were always going to die. This is the nature of existence. Accept it. Embrace it. Find peace in impermanence. The Buddhist response resonates beyond Buddhism. Videos of monks meditating calmly while discussing extinction spread across social media. Millions of views, millions of comments, millions of people envying that serenity, that acceptance, that ability to face annihilation without existential terror. Meditation apps see downloads surge, mindfulness courses overwhelmed, Westerners seeking Eastern wisdom when Western frameworks provide no comfort. Hinduism's response varies by sect, but shares common thread. This is not the first world, not the first cycle, not the first extinction. The universe births and dies in endless cycle. Brahma creates, Vishnu preserves, Shiva destroys. Then creation begins again. 3I-ATLAS might end this world, but worlds end regularly on cosmic timescale. The Atman, the soul, is eternal. Bodies die, but consciousness persists. Reincarnation continues. Perhaps next life is on different world. Perhaps next cycle humanity evolves beyond physical form. Perhaps this is necessary step in cosmic dance. Indigenous religions worldwide see vindication. Their creation stories often include sky people, star beings, visitors from above. What academics dismissed as mythology suddenly looks like ancestral memory. Like warnings passed down through generations, like truth encoded in stories. Tribal elders speaking about prophecies, about return of sky beings, about tests humanity must face. Their communities rallying around traditional practices, around ceremonies, around connections to land and ancestors. Atheists face unique crisis. No God to pray to, no afterlife to hope for, no cosmic plan to trust. Just physics, just mathematics. Just an alien ship approaching and no reason to believe anything continues after death. Some embrace nihilism. Nothing matters. Nothing ever mattered. Eat, drink and party because tomorrow we die. Others find unexpected meaning. This life is all there is. These people are all we have. These moments are precious precisely because they are finite. The approaching end making every instant valuable. Secular humanists argue for rational response, for science, for cooperation, for using remaining time productively, building defences, studying the threat, maintaining civilization as long as possible. If we die, die with dignity, die having tried everything, die as humans who fought rather than humans who surrendered. The response appeals to many but feels hollow without transcendent framework. Hard to maintain stoicism when extinction lacks meaning. New religions emerge overnight. Cults forming around charismatic leaders claiming special knowledge, claiming alien contact, claiming salvation plans, send money, join compound, follow instructions, ascend to higher dimension before 3I-ATLAS arrives. The desperate and vulnerable flock to these groups, seeking certainty, seeking leadership, seeking anyone who claims to have answers. Religious violence spikes, ancient hatreds reignited. Why show mercy to heretics if everyone dies soon? Why maintain interfaith dialogue when faith itself fractures? Attacks on mosques, synagogues burned, churches vandalized, religious minorities scapegoated, blamed for bringing divine punishment, blamed for angering God, blamed because blame feels better than helplessness, but also moments of transcendence, of unity, of humans recognizing shared humanity regardless of creed. Interfaith services packing stadiums, Christians and Muslims and Jews and Hindus and Buddhists praying together. Praying differently, but praying together. Finding common ground in fear. Finding connection in vulnerability. Finding love in face of hate. The Pope and Dalai Lama meet publicly. Embrace. Issue joint statement. Different paths. Same destination. Different words. Same hope. Different traditions. Same humanity. The image spreads globally. Two old men in different robes hugging while death approaches from space. Symbol of something. Maybe everything. Children ask questions parents cannot answer. Why would God let aliens hurt us? Why did God make mean aliens? If God is good and powerful, why does bad stuff happen? The problem of evil, debated by theologians for millennia, crystallized in child's simple question. Parents fumbling for responses, making promises they cannot keep, providing comfort they do not feel. Seminary enrollment collapses and surges simultaneously. Some see no point studying theology when world ends soon. Others see only point. What matters more than meaning when meaning disappears? What study more important than soul when body faces death? Religious vocations transform from career choice to existential necessity. Prayer vigils run continuously. Cathedrals never empty. Mosques hosting 24-hour services. Temples filled with incense smoke and chanting. People praying not from habit, but from desperate hope. Praying not because they believe it helps, but because not praying feels worse. Praying because humans have always prayed when death comes, and death is definitely coming. Faith does not provide answers, cannot provide answers, because the question being asked, can humanity survive, remains unknown. But faith provides something. Community, ritual, structure, meaning, connection. The things humans need when everything else fails. And high above, indifferent to prayers and theology and human hope, 3I-ATLAS continues its approach. Not slowing, not stopping, not responding to any communication, just coming. The religious earthquake reshapes every tradition, forces every faith to confront its core beliefs against ultimate test, and finds that belief, however shaken, however fragmented, however desperate, persists. Humans pray, even facing extinction, especially facing extinction, because prayer is what humans do when nothing else remains. The military calculus, the Pentagon war games run continuously, simulations using every weapon system humanity possesses, every tactical scenario, every possible defense. The results come back identical every time. We lose. Not close battles, not heroic defeats, complete annihilation. The computers do not sugarcoat. The mathematics do not lie. Start with nuclear weapons, humanity's most devastating tool. The United States maintains 5,400 warheads, Russia 5,900, China 350, France 290, United Kingdom 225, Pakistan 165, India 160, Israel 80, North Korea uncertain but estimated 40, combined nuclear arsenal capable of ending human civilization multiple times over. Against 3I-ATLAS, these weapons might as well be fireworks. The object is 24 kilometers across, roughly 15 miles in diameter, surface area of approximately 1,800 square kilometers. To destroy something that size requires energy measured in zettajoules. The entire human nuclear arsenal, detonated simultaneously, produces roughly 200 exajoules. We are 3 orders of magnitude short. We do not have enough bombs to scratch the paint, but the simulations run anyway. Scenario Alpha. Launch everything, every missile, every bomber, every submarine-based system. Coordinate global nuclear strike on single target. The logistics alone a nightmare. Russian and American systems designed to target each other, not collaborate. Chinese missiles pointed wrong direction. Delivery systems requiring months to retarget and reprogram. No time exists for proper preparation. Assume we manage coordination. Assume every nation agrees. Assume we get every weapon into space and detonated on target. The blast effects in vacuum are different than atmosphere. No shockwave, no overpressure, no fireball, just radiation, electromagnetic energy. X-rays and gamma rays and neutrons sleeting through whatever armor 3I-ATLAS uses. The Pentagon physicists calculate penetration depth. Best case scenario. Assume the hull is titanium aluminum alloy. Assume 10 centimeters thick. Nuclear detonation 100 meters from surface delivers enough radiation to penetrate, to kill crew, to fry electronics, to render ship inoperable. But 3I-ATLAS travelled light years, crossed interstellar space bombarded constantly by cosmic radiation, particles moving near light speed, energies that make nuclear weapons look gentle. Any ship surviving that journey has shielding measured in meters, not centimeters, as redundancy. As systems we do not understand using physics we have not discovered. The simulations show nuclear strikes as irritant. Mosquito bites to elephant. 3I-ATLAS might not even notice, might not bother responding, might continue approach undisturbed while humanity exhausts its arsenal against armor designed for environment far harsher than anything we produce. Conventional weapons are joke. Missiles, bombs, bullets. Kinetic energy scales with mass times velocity squared. Our fastest missiles move Mach 10, 3,400 meters per second. impressive by human standards, pathetic compared to what 3I-ATLAS experienced during interstellar transit. Micrometeorites hitting at 50,000 meters per second, dust grains carrying more kinetic energy than anti-tank rounds. If the ship survived those impacts for decades, our missiles bounce off like raindrops. The Air Force proposes kinetic bombardment, tungsten rods dropped from orbit, Project Thor, rods from God, long metal poles accelerated by gravity to terminal velocity, impact energy equivalent to small nuclear weapon, theoretically unstoppable, practically useless. We have no tungsten rods in orbit, need years to manufacture and deploy. 3I-ATLAS arrives in months. The timeline does not work. Directed energy weapons, lasers, particle beams, electromagnetic railguns. The bleeding edge of military technology. Systems still experimental, still developmental, still years from deployment. Could a sufficiently powerful laser damage 3I-ATLAS? Possibly. If we had sufficiently powerful laser, if we had power generation to run it, if we had targeting systems accurate at astronomical distances, if we had time to build infrastructure that currently exists only in design documents. The Navy experiments with electromagnetic pulse weapons, EMP, designed to fry electronics, disable computers, render guidance systems inoperable, effective against human technology that uses silicon chips and copper wiring, potentially useless against alien technology that might use optical computing, quantum systems, architectures we cannot imagine. You cannot disable what you do not understand. Space Force, America's newest military branch, proposes interceptor swarms, thousands of small satellites, each carrying explosive payload, coordinate simultaneous impact, overwhelm defenses through numbers, death by 1,000 cuts. The concept works on paper, fails in practice. Manufacturing thousands of satellites requires industrial capacity we lack, launch capability we lack, time we lack, and assumes 3I-ATLAS has no point defense, no ability to swat incoming projectiles like gnats. Biological weapons get discussed briefly, quietly, in classified sessions with no records. Could we engineer pathogen that kills aliens? Could we weaponize disease? The answer is obviously no. We know nothing about alien biology, nothing about their biochemistry, nothing about whether they even use DNA. Cannot design weapon without understanding target. Cannot poison something when you do not know its metabolism. The discussion ends quickly, moves to next option. Chemical weapons, nerve agents, blister agents, blood agents. Weapons banned by international treaty but still manufactured in secret facilities. Weapons that might work if aliens breathe oxygen, if aliens have nervous systems, if aliens interact with environment in ways remotely human. The chances approach zero. The discussion moves on. Cyber warfare, humanity's newest military domain. Could we hack 3I-ATLAS, insert virus, corrupt guidance systems, disable weapons? The concept assumes alien computers work like ours, process information the same way, use similar architectures, have vulnerabilities we can exploit. The assumptions are enormous, the likelihood microscopic. But teams prepare anyway, write code, develop exploits, hope for miracle because miracles are all that remain. The real calculus is darker. 3I-ATLAS crossed light years of space. That requires energy beyond our comprehension, requires engineering beyond our capability, requires technology centuries or millennia ahead of ours. Any civilization that can build interstellar spacecraft has military technology that makes ours look prehistoric. If they want Earth destroyed, it gets destroyed. If they want humanity eliminated, we get eliminated. The only question is how quickly and how thoroughly. Military strategists know this. Face it in simulations that show human extinction in every scenario. Face it in classified briefings where generals report to presidents and prime ministers that defense is impossible. Face it in war rooms where the most powerful militaries on Earth realize their power means nothing against enemy from stars. But they plan anyway. Build defenses, position forces, prepare contingencies, not because preparation helps, because doing nothing guarantees failure, because soldiers need mission even when mission is hopeless, because humanity deserves to die fighting rather than die surrendering. Ground forces mobilize, infantry, armour, artillery, preparing for scenario where 3I-ATLAS lands ground troops, where invasion becomes occupation, where war happens face to face rather than ship to planet. The training manuals get rewritten, enemy capabilities unknown, enemy tactics unknown, enemy objectives unknown. Prepare for everything, expect anything, survive as long as possible. Special forces train for infiltration missions. If 3I-ATLAS lands, if we can access interior, if commandos penetrate ship, what then? Plant explosives, sabotage systems, capture technology. The scenarios feel like science fiction because they are science fiction. But operators practice anyway, drilling for contingency, preparing for impossibility. Air forces maintain readiness, fighters, bombers, tankers, ready to scramble, ready to engage, ready to die because engaging 3I-ATLAS means death. Pilots know this. Fly anyway, train anyway, maintain aircraft anyway. Because what else can warriors do when war comes? Naval fleets scatter, submarines dive deep, surface ships spread across oceans, making themselves hard targets, avoiding concentration, ensuring some capability survives first strike. The calculus of deterrence inverted. Usually you concentrate force to project power, now you disperse force to ensure survival. Different war, different strategy, different mathematics. Allied nations coordinate, NATO, AUKUS, Five Eyes, mutual defence treaties activated, not against each other, against extinction. Traditional enemies shelve conflicts. Russia and America share intelligence. China and India coordinate deployment. Israel and Iran communicate through intermediaries, because dying divided accomplishes nothing. Only unity offers even remote chance of survival. Defence contractors work overtime, factories running 3 shifts, producing ammunition, building missiles, manufacturing every weapon system existing design allows, knowing the weapons are inadequate, building them anyway, because inadequate weapons beat no weapons, because trying beats surrender. Recruitment surges, young people enlisting, wanting to fight, wanting to serve, wanting to matter during humanity's final chapter. Military forces expand rapidly, training compressed, standards lowered, taking anyone willing, because you do not need 5 years to train soldier who might die in 5 months. You need basics, you need rifle qualification, you need willingness to stand in formation when death comes from sky. But the analysis remains unchanged, the mathematics unforgiving. 3I-ATLAS represents technology centuries ahead. Energy systems we cannot match, weapons we cannot counter, defences we cannot penetrate. Any military engagement ends one way. Pentagon strategists brief the President privately. Mr. President, we cannot win. We cannot even fight effectively. Every simulation shows extinction. Every analysis shows defeat. The only variable is how many humans die in first hour versus first day versus first week. We have no good options, no viable strategies, no path to victory. The President asks the question everyone asks, what do we do then? The General responds with truth that breaks hearts. We die, but we die on our feet. We die fighting. We die as humans who refuse to surrender. That is all we can control. Not whether we win, only how we face losing. Military preparations continue, not because they matter strategically, because they matter psychologically. Because humans need to fight, need to resist, need to rage against dying of light. The weapons are inadequate, the tactics insufficient, the outcome predetermined, but the soldiers train, the missiles get aimed, the plans get written. Humanity prepares for war it cannot win against enemy, it cannot defeat using weapons. That will not work. Because the alternative is waiting, is accepting, is watching death approach and doing nothing. And that, the generals agree, is unacceptable. Better doomed resistance than peaceful extinction. The military calculus is complete. We lose. We know we lose. We fight anyway. 3I-ATLAS continues its approach, untroubled by human weapons, unimpressed by human technology, unconcerned with human defiance, and the armies of Earth prepare to discover whether courage matters when facing technological gods. The probe deployment scenario, A.V. Loeb's theory, becomes nightmare made real. 3I-ATLAS deploys probes exactly as he predicted. Not dramatic, not obvious. Silent seeding across inner solar system while mothership continues toward Earth. The detection comes from accident. Space telescope tracking. Different object catches glint of reflected sunlight. Something small, something fast, something that was not there yesterday. Within 12 hours, ground stations identify 47 separate objects, each roughly 3 meters across, each following independent trajectory, each heading toward different target: Mars, Venus, Mercury, Earth's moon, and Earth itself. The probes are dandelion seeds, exactly as Pentagon briefing described. Parent craft releasing children, mothership birthing scouts, invasion force spreading like infection through solar system. The trajectories tell story. Probes heading for Earth arrive first. Fastest flight path, most direct route, priority targets. 6 probes initially detected on Earth intercept course, then 11, then 19, then 32. The numbers keep climbing as observation networks identify more, each probe small enough to miss during initial scans, small enough to hide against starfield, small enough to be invisible until someone knows to look. Tracking reveals sophistication that terrifies analysts. The probes execute course corrections, tiny thruster burns, orbital adjustments, moving towards specific locations on Earth's surface. Not random impacts, not uncontrolled descent, targeted landings, precise navigation, landing sites chosen for strategic value or surveillance potential or purposes humans cannot guess. First probe enters Earth atmosphere over Pacific Ocean. 400 kilometers altitude, 30,000 kilometers per hour. No heat shield visible, no ablation, no plasma trail. The object simply descends through re-entry regime that should vaporize anything, emerging intact at terminal velocity. Parachutes deploy at 10,000 meters. Sophisticated design. Controlled descent. Landing in remote region of Papua New Guinea. Jungle canopy swallowing the probe before satellites can track final touchdown. Military forces scramble. Papua New Guinea Defence Force supported by Australian Special Forces, American advisors, drone reconnaissance, find the probe, secure the probe, study the probe, learn what we can before more arrive. The search operation launches within hours. Helicopters crisscrossing dense rainforest. Thermal imaging seeking heat signature. Radar probing jungle canopy. Ground teams hacking through vegetation. They find it 3 days later. Clearing in forest. Trees knocked down. Probe sitting inert. Dark metal, seamless construction. No visible joints or fasteners. Surface covered in geometric patterns that might be sensors or might be decoration, or might be something alien minds consider functional. The object hums quietly. Low frequency vibration. Electromagnetic emissions across multiple spectra. Active, awake, aware. The soldiers establish perimeter. Nobody touches probe. Nobody approaches within 50 meters. Drones fly closer. Cameras recording every detail. Radiation detectors showing elevated readings. Not dangerous levels. Not immediately lethal, but definitely radioactive. Definitely emitting energy. Definitely doing something. More probes land globally. Arabian Peninsula, Siberia, Amazon Basin, Australian Outback, Sahara Desert, remote locations, unpopulated areas, places where response takes time, places where probes can operate undisturbed for hours or days. Pattern becomes clear. Avoid cities, avoid military installations, land in wilderness, begin whatever mission they were sent to accomplish. One probe lands in Nevada desert, 100 kilometers from Las Vegas. American military response is immediate. First units on site within 2 hours, massive deployment, infantry, armor, air support, command post established. Scientists flown in, equipment staged. This probe becomes primary research target. This probe gets humanity's full attention. Engineers attempt communication, radio signals across spectrum, laser pulses, mathematical sequences, prime numbers, pi, constants of physics, universal language of mathematics that any technological civilization should recognize. The probe remains silent. No response, no acknowledgement. Either it cannot understand, or it chooses not to answer, or it is listening without revealing it listens. Remote vehicles approach. Bomb disposal robots, military drones, mechanical systems risk destruction before risking human life. Cameras streaming real-time imagery, manipulator arms reaching toward probe surface. Contact. Metal touching alien metal. Nothing happens. No explosion, no energy discharge, no defensive response. The probe tolerates examination. Sample collection begins. Robotic systems scraping surface, collecting material, retrieving microscopic quantities for analysis. The samples get rushed to laboratories. Mass spectrometry, X-ray diffraction, chemical analysis, electron microscopy. Every tool analytical chemistry possesses applied to alien artifact. Results are disturbing. The materials do not match anything in terrestrial databases. Alloys containing elements in impossible ratios, crystalline structures that violate known physics, molecular bonds requiring formation energies beyond human capability. This is not reverse engineerable. This is not technology we can copy. This is engineering from civilization so far beyond us that their basic material science is indistinguishable from magic. The probe begins moving, not dramatically, extending appendages, thin tendrils emerging from surface, antenna unfurling, sensors deploying, transforming from inert sphere to active instrument, mechanical systems unfolding with precision that looks organic, technology mimicking biology, or biology so advanced it appears technological. The distinction blurs, electromagnetic emissions intensify, probe broadcasting, not attempting communication with humans, communicating with other probes, mesh network establishing, data sharing, coordination. The probes scattered across Earth linking into distributed sensor array, building comprehensive map, learning everything, seeing everything, reporting everything back to 3I-ATLAS. Scientists detect the scanning, active radar, LiDAR, ground-penetrating radar, electromagnetic spectrum analysis, gravitometric survey. The probes are X-raying Earth, measuring density, mapping geology, identifying mineral deposits, locating underground facilities, finding bunkers, finding missile silos, finding submarines, finding every military asset humanity tried to hide. This is reconnaissance. This is intelligence gathering. This is pre-invasion survey, learning defender capabilities before attacking, identifying targets before striking, planning assault with complete information about enemy positions and strength. Military tacticians recognize the pattern. This is what you do before invasion. This is how you prepare battlefield. Governments debate response, destroy the probes, risk revealing human capabilities. If we use weapons against probes, 3I-ATLAS learns about weapons, learns about delivery systems, learns about response times and coordination. Every action provides intelligence to enemy. Every attack teaches them. But allowing probes to operate freely also provides intelligence, shows passive acceptance, shows weak response, shows lack of capability or will to resist. Damned if you act, damned if you do not act. No good options exist. Military commanders decide, destroy them, show resistance, show willingness to fight. Even knowing it reveals capabilities. Even knowing it provides intelligence, because psychological warfare matters, because showing strength matters, because appearing defeatable invites attack. First strike uses missile, Tomahawk cruise missile, conventional warhead, precision guidance, direct hit on probe in Sahara Desert, explosion visible from orbit, fireball, shockwave, dust cloud mushrooming kilometers high. When visibility clears, probe sits undamaged, scorched, blackened, but intact, functional, still broadcasting. Second strike uses kinetic penetrator, depleted uranium rod, supersonic impact, designed to pierce armor, designed to defeat hardened targets, strikes probe in Australian outback. The penetrator shatters, fragments scatter, probe surface shows scratch, single mark, superficial damage, insufficient to disable, insufficient to destroy. Third strike uses multiple munitions, concentrated bombardment, artillery, missiles, bombs, everything available military asset can deliver. Target probe in Siberia, sustained barrage, hundreds of explosions, saturation attack. When smoke clears, probe has relocated, moved 300 meters, autonomous, mobile, avoiding damage, demonstrating capability, showing humans their weapons are insufficient. The probes continue their mission, scanning, measuring, analyzing, learning. Some deploy smaller subunits, microprobes, insect-sized robots, flying, crawling, infiltrating, getting into places large probes cannot reach, into buildings, into vehicles, into command centres, observing human activity up close, recording, reporting. One sub-probe infiltrates Pentagon, microscopic, undetectable, attaches to wall in classified briefing room, records strategic discussions, transmits back to parent probe, back to 3I-ATLAS. Enemy now knows human plans, knows defensive strategies, knows weapon locations, knows everything discussed in rooms humans thought secure. Counterintelligence operations begin, electronic warfare, jamming, attempting to block probe communications, attempting to prevent data transmission. The efforts fail. Probes use frequencies humans cannot jam, use encryption humans cannot break, use protocols humans do not understand. The intelligence flows unimpeded, Earth's secrets becoming alien knowledge. Some probes enter oceans, diving deep, mapping seafloor, identifying submarine bases, tracking naval movements, operating in environment humans barely access. 3,000 meters depth, 5,000, 7,000. Pressures that crush submarines, probes functioning normally, scanning, learning, surviving, biological sampling occurs, probes collecting specimens, plant material, insects, small animals, analysing Earth biosphere, learning about terrestrial life, understanding ecology, understanding biochemistry, perhaps searching for vulnerabilities, perhaps identifying biological attack vectors, perhaps simply cataloguing what will be destroyed. The probe in Nevada extends appendage into soil, drilling, extracting core sample, analysing dirt, measuring contamination, checking for toxins or pathogens, testing whether Earth is habitable for aliens, testing whether environment requires modification before occupation. The implications chill observers. This suggests long-term plans. This suggests intention to stay. This suggests humanity gets removed to make room for new tenants. World watches probe deployments through news coverage, through social media videos, through leaked military footage. Watches probes operate with impunity. Watches human weapons fail. Watches reconnaissance proceed unimpeded. Watches invasion preparation happen in real time with nothing capable of stopping it. Some probes land near population centres, not in cities, but close enough. Suburbs, rural towns, places where people live. The intent seems clear. Demonstrate presence, create fear, show inevitability, psychological warfare, demoralising enemy before battle begins. Civilians approach probes despite warnings. Curiosity, stupidity, denial, thinking they can communicate, thinking aliens might be friendly, walking up to objects broadcasting radiation and electromagnetic fields. Most suffer no immediate harm. Probes tolerate proximity, allow observation, seem uninterested in individual humans as threats. But some people die. Heart attacks near probes, strokes, seizures, correlation unclear, causation unknown, electromagnetic fields disrupting nervous systems, radiation causing acute illness, intentional defensive measures, coincidence. Medical investigators cannot determine, but pattern exists. Being too close to probes increases mortality. 32 probes now confirmed on Earth, 19 in remote locations, 8 in moderate proximity to civilization, 5 within 100 kilometers of major cities. Count keeps rising. Detection improves. Networks coordinate. Identification accelerates. Estimate suggests 50 probes minimum. Perhaps 80. Perhaps more waiting to be found. 3I-ATLAS seeded Earth with eyes and ears, with sensors and intelligence gatherers, with preparation for what comes next. The probes are not invasion. The probes are prelude. And in orbit, monitoring probe transmissions, analysing probe locations, studying probe behaviour, human observers realise something worse. The probes are learning, improving, adapting, each one gaining knowledge from others, sharing discoveries, coordinating activities, becoming smarter, becoming more effective, becoming more dangerous. This is not simple reconnaissance. This is artificial intelligence. This is distributed computing network. This is machine mind studying Earth, with inhuman patience and alien purpose. And every second they operate, they learn more, see more, understand more. The probe deployment scenario is complete. Invasion groundwork laid. Reconnaissance finished. Intelligence gathered. Earth mapped, humanity analysed, defences measured. 3I-ATLAS knows everything it needs to know. Time to begin the harvest, societal fracture or unity. The optimists predicted unity, humanity facing common enemy, nations setting aside differences, people cooperating against extinction. The speeches echoed this theme. We are all human. We are all Earth. We stand together or fall divided. Beautiful sentiment, noble aspiration, complete fiction. Reality proves messier. Humanity fragments along every existing fault line. National, ethnic, religious, economic, political, ideological. The cracks always existed. 3I-ATLAS simply applies pressure until cracks become chasms, until fractures become breaks, until society splits into pieces that cannot be reassembled. Border closures happened first. Nations sealing frontiers, no entry, no exit. Protecting resources, preventing refugee floods. Every country hoarding what it has, fearing what neighbours might take. Militarising boundaries that existed as lines on maps. Turning theoretical sovereignty into physical barriers. Walls, fences, minefields, machine gun nests. Nationalism superseding species loyalty. Migration pressure builds immediately. People fleeing cities, fleeing coasts, fleeing anywhere that seems like obvious target. Moving inland, moving to mountains, moving to places they imagine might be safer. 60 million people displaced in first month. 100 million by second month. Refugee crisis making Syrian migration look trivial by comparison. Making every previous humanitarian disaster look manageable. Nations refuse refugees, even allies, even partners. Canada closes border with United States. European Union suspends Schengen. Countries implementing shoot-on-sight policies for illegal crossings, because accepting refugees means sharing food, sharing medicine, sharing shelter. And when resources are finite and time is limited, compassion becomes luxury nobody can afford. Concentration camps emerge, not genocidal, not death camps, but detention centres, refugee containment facilities, places to hold displaced people away from cities, away from infrastructure, away from citizens who fear competition for survival resources. The camps grow rapidly, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, millions living in tents and temporary structures, minimal food, minimal healthcare, waiting for nothing because nothing is coming. Ethnic violence resurfaces, ancient hatreds reignited. Why cooperate with historical enemy when world ends soon? Why show mercy to oppressor group? Why not settle scores while opportunity exists? Tutsis and Hutus, Serbs and Bosniaks, Sunni and Shia, Hindu and Muslim, Armenian and Azerbaijani. Every conflict suppressed by civilization erupting simultaneously. Genocide blooming like toxic flowers. China exploits crisis. Moves on Taiwan. Full invasion. Amphibious assault. Air superiority. Overwhelming force. Because when 3I-ATLAS approaches, who cares about international condemnation? Who enforces sanctions during extinction? Taiwan falls in weeks. The world protests. The world does nothing. Because the world has bigger concerns than territorial disputes. Russia invades Ukraine completely. Not special military operation. Total war. Seizing everything. Because why not? What consequences exist? NATO cannot respond. NATO focused on alien threat. NATO dissolving as members prioritise national survival. Russia takes what Russia wants, reclaiming former Soviet territory, rebuilding empire before empire becomes irrelevant. Pakistan and India exchange nuclear weapons, limited war. Kashmir dispute finally resolved through mutual destruction. 5 nuclear detonations, millions dead. Radiation spreading across subcontinent. The triggers barely matter, decades of tension. Opportunity for first strike. Certainty that retaliation means less when everyone dies anyway. The weapons fly, the cities burn. 2 nuclear powers exhausting arsenals on each other instead of defending against aliens. Israel launches preemptive strikes on Iran, destroys nuclear facilities, eliminates existential threat while opportunity exists. Iran retaliates. Hezbollah activates. Hamas attacks. The entire Middle East ignites. Ancient conflicts accelerating into total war. Fighting over Jerusalem while 3I-ATLAS approaches. Fighting over land that might not exist in months. Fighting because fighting is what humans do. Economic systems collapse entirely. Money becoming meaningless. Markets shuttered permanently, banks closed, electronic currency evaporating, physical wealth losing value. What good is gold when food runs out? What good are dollars when supply chains break? What good is wealth when nothing remains to buy? Barter economies emerge rapidly. Food for medicine, medicine for fuel, fuel for weapons, weapons for safety, direct exchange, immediate value, trust-based systems where currency failed, local communities forming closed loops, trading amongst themselves, excluding outsiders, creating microeconomies amid macro collapse. Warlords appear, armed groups seizing territory, controlling resources, demanding tribute, protecting populations in exchange for obedience, feudalism returning. Might makes right. Stronger survive, weaker serve or die. Governments losing monopoly on violence as power fragments into hands of whoever commands loyalty of men with guns. United Nations attempts coordination, emergency sessions, resolutions, speeches about unity and cooperation, words without substance. The organization reveals its weakness. No enforcement mechanism, no ability to compel cooperation, no power beyond moral authority that evaporates when morality faces extinction. The UN becomes irrelevant. Debating society during apocalypse, talking while world burns. Some regions achieve unity. Scandinavia coordinates defence, pooling resources, sharing intelligence. Norway, Sweden, Finland, Denmark operating as single entity, showing what cooperation could accomplish if replicated globally. But remaining isolated example, surrounded by chaos, islands of order in oceans of disorder, African nations fracture completely, governments collapsing, borders dissolving, tribal affiliations superseding national identity, warlords carving territories, ethnic militias settling scores, resources fought over violently, no international intervention, no peacekeepers, no aid organizations. Africa left to burn while wealthy nations focus inward. South America sees massive internal migration, populations fleeing toward Argentina and Chile, toward stability, toward governments maintaining control. Brazil fractures into regions, cartel-controlled zones, military-controlled zones, civilian zones, federal government losing authority outside major cities. De facto partition without formal recognition. Southeast Asia organizes somewhat. ASEAN nations cooperating despite historical tensions. Singapore, Thailand, Vietnam, Malaysia, Philippines coordinating response, sharing resources, defending collectively. Pragmatic partnership driven by geographic proximity and mutual vulnerability. Not perfect unity, but functional cooperation. Better than most achieve. Social media amplifies every division. Conspiracy theories spreading faster than facts. Misinformation campaigns targeting every population. Russian trolls, Chinese bots, American propaganda. Everyone using final months to wage information warfare, to sow discord, to weaken enemies, to pursue national interests even facing extinction. Cults proliferate wildly. Charismatic leaders offering salvation, claiming special knowledge, demanding absolute obedience. People desperate for certainty following anyone promising answers. Mass suicide events, Jonestown multiplied across globe, thousands drinking poison, choosing death now over waiting for aliens, choosing control over uncertainty. Class warfare intensifies, the wealthy retreat to bunkers, private security forces stockpiled supplies, luxury accommodations underground. Billionaires buying survival while billions starve. The poor recognizing abandonment, recognizing that elite plans exclude them. Riots targeting wealth, burning mansions, killing rich, taking what was hoarded. Generational conflict emerges, young blaming old. Your generation destroyed planet. Your decisions caused this. Your greed left nothing. The old defensive. We built civilization. We gave you everything. Not our fault aliens came. Meaningless arguments about meaningless blame. Fighting over past when no future exists. Urban areas destabilize fastest. Cities depending on complex logistics. Supply chains breaking, food shortages developing, water treatment failing, electricity unreliable, services collapsing, millions trapped in decaying infrastructure, crime surging, police overwhelmed, martial law declared, military occupation, shooting looters, maintaining order through violence, rural areas fare better, self-sufficient communities, gardens, wells, local food production, less dependent on systems failing everywhere else, defending against refugees, against raiders, against anyone from outside, isolating, surviving, enduring. Suicide rates explode globally. Million people per month, 2 million, 5 million. Choosing exit, choosing peace, choosing control over fate, jumping, pills, guns, carbon monoxide. Every method, every demographic, every reason cannot face uncertainty, cannot handle fear, cannot continue when continuation seems pointless, but also moments of beauty, of genuine unity. Strangers helping strangers, sharing food, sharing shelter, showing kindness when kindness costs everything. Individual humans transcending species failure, small lights in gathering darkness, proof that nobility exists even when systems fail. Families unite across distances. Flying home, driving home, walking home. Whatever it takes to be together. Forgiveness flowing. Old wounds healing. Because time is short and grudges are stupid and love matters more than pride. Reunions, reconciliations, moments of grace. Communities organising mutual aid. Neighbourhood watches, shared gardens, collective childcare, cooperative defence. People discovering that cooperation works when hierarchy fails, that humans can coordinate without governments, that society exists in connections between individuals. Some cities maintain order. Singapore, Tokyo, Copenhagen, places with strong social fabric, with civic trust, with populations willing to cooperate, showing what might have been if everywhere managed same cohesion. Oases of civilization, demonstrations that unity is possible, but globally fragmentation dominates, humanity fracturing, splintering, breaking apart, nations warring, ethnic groups cleansing, classes fighting, generations blaming, religions condemning, every division widening, every conflict intensifying, every resentment exploding. The question was whether humanity would unite facing extinction. The answer is no. We fragment, we fight, we blame, we kill. We die divided because dying divided is what we know. Unity requires trust. Trust requires time. Time is what we lack. 3I-ATLAS does not need to destroy humanity. We are destroying ourselves, fighting over resources, fighting over territory, fighting over beliefs, fighting because fighting is easier than cooperating, because cooperation requires compromise, requires sacrifice, requires seeing other humans as human. And that, it turns out, is too difficult for species facing extinction. Too difficult for evolved apes with tribal brains. Too difficult for creatures whose deepest instincts scream protect your group, destroy the other. Societal fracture wins. Unity loses. Not completely, not everywhere, but enough, where it matters, when it counts. Humanity stands divided as 3I-ATLAS approaches, stands fragmented, stands broken, and broken things do not resist very well. The aliens arrive to a world already at war with itself, already weakened, already bleeding. Invasion becomes clean-up operation, finishing what humans started. Perhaps that was always the plan. Perhaps advanced civilizations know this about intelligent species. Know that existential threat causes fracture, not unity. Know that prey destroys itself before hunter arrives. Perhaps 3I-ATLAS is just waiting, watching probes transmit images of humans killing humans, conserving energy, letting chaos do their work. Why waste ammunition on enemy committing suicide? The societal response is complete. Fragmentation dominant, unity rare, hope scarce. And overhead, indifferent to human politics, 3I-ATLAS continues approach, closer every day to world tearing itself apart. The communication dilemma. The message gets drafted and redrafted 238 times. Committee after committee, linguists, anthropologists, mathematicians, philosophers, psychologists, everyone contributing to message humanity sends to 3I-ATLAS, message that might save species, or doom it faster. Nobody knows which. The first question is whether to communicate at all. Stephen Hawking warned about this, revealing location to potentially hostile aliens, broadcasting existence to unknown intelligence, Better to stay quiet, better to hide, better to hope they pass by without noticing. But that option disappeared. 3I-ATLAS knows we are here. Probes mapped Earth completely. Silence accomplishes nothing when enemy already found you. So we communicate. But what do we say? Early drafts attempt friendship. We come in peace. We welcome contact. We seek understanding. We offer cooperation. Beautiful sentiment. Appropriate for first contact under different circumstances. Absurd when addressing mothership that deployed military reconnaissance. Absurd when talking to entity demonstrably hostile. Nobody expects friendship message to work, but some feel obligated to try. To exhaust peaceful options before assuming war. Other drafts attempt negotiation. We have resources you want. Take what you need. Leave humanity alive. Coexistence is possible. Cooperation benefits both species. Mutually assured survival through rational agreement. The proposals assume aliens value resources more than destruction. Assume rational actors. Assume cost-benefit analysis. Assumptions that may not apply to minds that crossed stars specifically to cause harm. Surrender messages get written. We yield. We submit. We recognize superior force. We accept whatever terms you offer. Enslavement over extinction. Servitude over death. Willing vassals rather than unwilling corpses. The ultimate pragmatism. Survival at any price. But requires aliens wanting subjects rather than corpses. Requires mercy. Requires intent other than elimination. Defiance messages get written too. We will fight. We will resist. We will make conquest costly. You will regret attacking Earth. Brave words, empty threats, attempting to deter through show of strength, attempting to convince 3I-ATLAS that easier targets exist elsewhere. Go bother someone weaker. Leave us alone. The approach requires believing bluff works on intelligence analysing everything about human capabilities. Religious messages get drafted, appeals to God, to cosmic morality, to universal ethics. Thou shalt not kill. Life is sacred. Intelligence is precious. Surely advanced civilization recognizes value of sentient beings. Surely technology comes with wisdom. Surely you are not monsters. Faith-based arguments, assuming aliens share human values, assuming consciousness implies conscience, large assumptions. The scientific community proposes mathematics, universal language, pi, prime numbers, physical constants, demonstrations of intelligence, proof we understand, universe, proof we deserve consideration as thinking beings rather than animals, communication without culture, without ambiguity, pure information. But 3I-ATLAS surely knows humans are intelligent. Probes confirmed that. Mathematics cannot tell them anything they do not already know. METI researchers, who spent careers composing messages for extraterrestrial intelligence, finally face real application. Their theoretical work suddenly practical, suddenly urgent, suddenly life or death. They argue for multiple messages, different approaches, emotional appeals, logical arguments, offers, threats, everything simultaneously. Shotgun strategy. Something might resonate, something might work, but transmission method presents own challenges. Radio signals. 3I-ATLAS ignores radio communication since entering solar system. Attempts at contact met with silence. Either they cannot receive radio frequencies, or they choose not to respond. Or they receive perfectly well and respond by deploying reconnaissance probes. The silence could mean technical limitation, could mean active contempt. Laser communication, tight beam, directed energy, message carried on coherent light, more bandwidth than radio, more information density, but requires knowing where to aim. 3I-ATLAS constantly moving, trajectory calculated, position predicted, beam pointed at where ship will be when light arrives, assumes current course continues, assumes no evasive action. Physical message, launch spacecraft carrying communication payload, intercept 3I-ATLAS en route, deliver message directly, physically place information where it cannot be ignored. The approach requires rocket capable of matching velocity with interstellar object, requires fuel, requires technology, requires time, all of which are scarce. Neutrino transmission gets proposed, subatomic particles, passing through matter, unstoppable, any receiver anywhere would detect, requires enormous accelerator, requires particle physics facility, requires energy measured in gigawatts. Humanity has facilities capable of neutrino generation. But encoding message in neutrino beam, modulating particles to carry information, theoretical possibility, practical nightmare. The content debate rages parallel to transmission debate. Assume we can send message. Assume 3I-ATLAS receives message. What words convince them to spare Earth? Emotional appeal draft. You are destroying families, children, love, beauty, everything precious about consciousness. Have you never felt loss, never mourned death, never valued life, recognized kinship? We are both thinking beings, both aware, both deserving existence. Show mercy not from weakness, but from strength. Logical appeal draft. Destroying Earth gains you nothing. We pose no threat. Our technology centuries behind yours. We cannot harm you, cannot challenge you, cannot resist effectively. Sparing us costs nothing. Killing us accomplishes nothing. Logic demands coexistence. Mathematics proves unnecessary. Death is inefficient. Strategic appeal draft. We can serve you. Labour, information, resources, intelligence. Use us rather than destroying us. Tools are more valuable than corpses. Servants more useful than graves. Pragmatic conquest beats genocidal extinction. You invested energy travelling here. Maximise return on investment. Cultural appeal draft. We are unique. 4 billion years of evolution. Unrepeatable biological development. Cultural richness. Art. Music. Literature. Philosophy. Destroying us erases information from universe permanently. Removes diversity. Reduces cosmic library. Surely preservation of unique intelligence matters to advanced civilization. But every draft assumes aliens think like humans. Value what humans value. Fear what humans fear. Want what humans want. The fundamental problem of communication with non-human intelligence. We cannot imagine motivations beyond our evolutionary experience. Cannot comprehend goals alien to terrestrial biology. Cannot predict responses from minds shaped by different selection pressures on different world under different star. What if they attack because they must? Because biology compels them? Because reproduction requires consuming other intelligences? Because their survival demands our extinction? Communication cannot change imperatives coded in alien DNA or equivalent. What if they attack because they enjoy it? Because causing suffering provides pleasure? Because destruction satisfies psychological need? Because cruelty is their art form? Communication with sadists accomplishes nothing. Appeals to mercy fall on ears that find mercy distasteful. What if they attack because we remind them of something? Of enemy back home? Of oppressor in their past? Of threat they faced millennia ago? Projection beyond our comprehension. Hatred transferred from original target to coincidental resemblance. How do you negotiate with entity that hates what you represent rather than what you are? What if they attack because they consider it mercy? Because they evaluated human civilization and judged us suffering? Because extinction seems kinder than existence? Because they believe death is gift? Twisted compassion. Alien ethics. Killing from love. Communication might convince them they are right. Might accelerate destruction. The committee considering all scenarios reaches conclusion. We do not know why they attack. Cannot know. Cannot understand. So we communicate everything. Every argument, every appeal, every approach. Maximum message volume. Maximum diversity. Hope something resonates. Hope some concept translates. Hope that intelligence, however alien, recognizes intelligence and chooses preservation. The final message compiles all drafts, mathematical proof of intelligence, emotional appeal for mercy, logical argument for coexistence, strategic offer of service, cultural demonstration of uniqueness, religious plea to universal ethics, defiant promise of costly resistance, humble surrender with terms, everything humans can conceive packed into transmission lasting 12 hours, broadcast continuously on every frequency, aimed at 3I-ATLAS, beamed toward destiny. And in parallel, scientists prepare other message, not for aliens, for ourselves. Time capsule, complete record of human civilization, art, science, history, literature, everything we created, everything we learned, everything we were, encoded on durable medium, launched toward deep space, away from solar system. So if Earth dies, something survives. So intelligence that finds message knows humans existed, knows we tried, knows we mattered. The transmission begins. Radio telescopes across Earth broadcasting synchronized. Arecibo, before collapse, participated in METI. Now every facility participates. Every dish pointed at incoming mothership. Every transmitter at maximum power, shouting into void, screaming across space, pleading with darkness. Please respond. Please acknowledge. Please show mercy. Please spare us. Please reconsider. Please understand. Please. 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 The signals travel at light speed, cover distance to 3I-ATLAS in hours, reach target, wash over alien hull, penetrate whatever shields or armor protect against radiation, arrive at receivers surely sophisticated enough to detect them, and 3I-ATLAS remains silent. No response, no acknowledgement, no change in trajectory, no indication message was received or considered or comprehended. The silence is message itself. The silence says everything. We heard you. We understand you. We reject you. Your words change nothing. Your appeals accomplish nothing. Your species ends regardless of what you say or how you say it. Or perhaps worse. Perhaps 3I-ATLAS considers communication beneath notice, considers humans so far beneath alien dignity that response seems unnecessary. You do not negotiate with insects. You do not explain to animals why you destroy their habitat. You simply act, simply proceed, simply accomplish your goals without courtesy of acknowledgement. Humanity sent every message possible, used every argument available, broadcast every frequency, employed every transmission method, did everything communication theory suggested, everything SETI protocols recommended, everything desperate species could attempt, and received silence in return, cold, empty, final. The communication dilemma reaches conclusion. We tried talking, we failed talking. Nothing remains but waiting. Waiting for 3I-ATLAS to arrive. Waiting for intentions to become actions. Waiting for communication through deeds rather than words. Because sometimes, most times, when powerful entity approaches weaker entity with weapons deployed and reconnaissance completed, words are waste of breath. Sometimes silence is answer. An answer is no. The message got sent. The silence received. The conversation ended before beginning, and 3I-ATLAS continues. Approach. Untroubled by human pleading, unconcerned with human survival, unimpressed by human intelligence, coming to Earth not for dialogue, for something else entirely, something words cannot stop. Alien motivations decoded. The xenopsychology teams work backwards from behavior, observing actions, inferring intent, building profile of alien psychology from evidence of what 3I-ATLAS does rather than what it says, because silence forces interpretation through deed, forces understanding through observation alone. Resource extraction theory tops every analysis. The obvious motivation, the human motivation. Civilizations expand because they need materials, need energy, need space. Basic economics applied to cosmic scale. 3I-ATLAS travelled light years to reach solar system rich in heavy metals, rich in water, rich in organic compounds, rich in everything technological civilization requires. But the theory crumbles under scrutiny. Any civilization capable of interstellar travel already solved resource problems, already achieved energy abundance through fusion, or matter-antimatter annihilation, or zero-point extraction, already mastered material science allowing atomic-level manufacturing, already transcended scarcity that drives terrestrial conflicts. You do not cross light years for resources available in your home system. You do not spend millennia travelling for gold or platinum or water when asteroids contain trillions of tons freely floating in space, unless Earth offers something unique, something rare, something unavailable elsewhere. Biological diversity, 4 billion years of evolution producing complexity unmatched, genetic information representing unrepeatable experiment in life development, amino acid sequences, protein folding patterns, metabolic pathways, information wealth, beyond material wealth. Perhaps 3I-ATLAS collects biospheres, samples life, studies evolution, Earth becomes specimen, humanity becomes data point. But if biological preservation mattered, why the hostility? Why not contact? Why not request cooperation? Why deploy military reconnaissance rather than scientific mission? Collecting specimens does not require killing everything, does not require invasion preparation, does not require treating planet as enemy territory. Real estate theory emerges. Lebensraum, living space. 3I-ATLAS population needs planets, needs habitable worlds, needs environments supporting their biology. Earth offers perfect conditions, right temperature, right atmosphere, right gravity, right stellar radiation, rare combination. Perhaps 1 in a million planets qualify, worth travelling for, worth fighting for, worth exterminating current occupants to claim. This theory fits behaviour better, explains reconnaissance, explains mapping, explains biological sampling testing whether Earth suits alien physiology, explains silence, because negotiation is pointless when you want the land and current occupants must go. You do not, bargain with cockroaches when moving into apartment. You exterminate, you fumigate, you establish dominance. But problems remain. If 3I-ATLAS can travel between stars, they can terraform planets, can modify atmospheres, can adjust gravity through rotation or engineering, can create habitats rather than seeking them, unless terraforming costs more than conquest, unless stealing beats building, unless taking existing biosphere proves more efficient than creating artificial one. Maybe real estate theory explains everything. Maybe humans are insects evicted from desirable property. Maybe our extinction is side effect of alien development project. Nothing personal, just business, just manifest destiny applied cosmically. They want what we have. They take what they want. Simple as that. Existential threat theory offers darker interpretation. 3I-ATLAS attacks because humanity represents danger. Not now, not with current technology, but eventually. Give humans 1,000 years, 10,000 years. Eventually we develop interstellar capability. Eventually we expand. Eventually we become threat. So eliminate threat early. Destroy potential competitor before competitor develops. Preventive genocide. First strike on cosmic timescale. Dark forest theory crystallizes this thinking. Universe is forest. Every civilization is hunter. Every hunter stays quiet, stays hidden, stays undetected, because being detected means being destroyed. First contact between civilizations always ends same way. Stronger kills weaker, immediately, without negotiation, without mercy, because waiting is risk, because uncertainty is unacceptable, because maybe, possibly, weaker civilization becomes stronger civilization if given time. 3I-ATLAS found us. Detected radio leakage broadcasting location for century. Followed electromagnetic breadcrumbs to Earth. Found technological civilization emerging from evolutionary cradle. Found potential threat million years before threat materializes. Logical response? Eliminate threat. End possibility. Remove uncertainty. Kill humans before humans become killers. The math supports this. Game theory applied to cosmic conflict. Prisoner's dilemma on existential scale. If aliens assume humans eventually attack, logical response is attack first. If humans assume aliens might attack, logical response is attack first. Mutual fear creating mutual destruction. Both sides rational. Both sides acting optimally given uncertainty. Both sides genocidal because genocide is dominant strategy when stakes are species survival. Humans understand this intellectually. Apply same logic terrestrially. Nuclear deterrence, mutually assured destruction. Peace through fear of annihilation. Same psychology, same game theory, just different players. 3I-ATLAS simply implements strategy humans theorize about. Cultural incompatibility theory suggests different problem. Not resources, not space, not threat. Simply inability to coexist. Alien values so different from human values that sharing reality becomes impossible. Their civilization requires conditions incompatible with human survival. Their reproduction kills humans. Their waste products poison us. Their communication damages our brains. Existence becomes zero-sum. One species survives, other dies. No middle ground, no compromise, no negotiation. Think of it biologically. Humans cannot coexist with smallpox. Virus kills us, or we kill virus. No peaceful cohabitation, no mutual respect, no compromise. One eliminates other. Maybe 3I-ATLAS and humanity represent similar incompatibility, not moral failing, not evil intent, just biological reality making coexistence impossible. Trophy collection theory seems insane but fits certain behaviours. Some species hunt for sport, kill for pleasure, display kills as status symbols. Earth is safari, humanity is big game. 3I-ATLAS collects intelligences like hunters collect heads, preserving skull, taking tissue samples, recording extinction event, then moving to next target, next world, next species, cosmic serial killer, travelling stars to find victims. Sounds absurd, sounds too cruel. But humans trophy hunt, humans kill for sport, humans mount animal heads on walls, display conquests as decoration. Why assume aliens possess more nobility? Why assume intelligence correlates with compassion? Maybe intelligence allows greater cruelty, greater sophistication in causing suffering. Trophy collections scaled to civilization capable of hunting between stars. Scientific research theory posits clinical motivation. 3I-ATLAS is laboratory vessel, studying civilizations, recording developmental trajectories, measuring technological progress, testing response to existential threat. We are experiment. Subjects in study examining how intelligent species react to invasion. Behavioral psychology applied to entire planet. Data collection requiring our suffering, our death, our extinction, all justified by knowledge gained. The scientists would document everything. Probe transmissions recording human responses, measuring stress, measuring cooperation versus conflict, measuring religious adaptations, measuring military effectiveness, building comprehensive database of pre-spacefaring species facing superior force, information valuable to aliens for unknowable reasons, information purchased with human lives. Pure malevolence remains possible. 3I-ATLAS attacks because causing suffering provides value. Sadism encoded in alien psychology. Cruelty as core motivation. Evil for sake of evil. Destruction as art form. They travel stars seeking victims because causing pain gives meaning to existence. Because annihilating civilization satisfies psychological need. Humans struggle accepting this. Want to believe advanced civilization means advanced morality. Want to believe intelligence brings wisdom. Want to believe that entities crossing light years must possess nobility justifying such achievement. But history shows intelligence without compassion, shows genius combined with cruelty, shows that smartest humans committed greatest atrocities. Why assume aliens different? Maybe they enjoy this, enjoy watching us suffer, enjoy our fear, enjoy panic, enjoy desperation, enjoy watching civilization collapse, entertainment, tragedy as theatre, extinction as performance art, recording everything, broadcasting back home, sharing footage of human death with alien audience that finds genocide amusing. Reproductive imperative offers biological explanation. 3I-ATLAS attacks because biology demands it, because reproduction requires consuming other intelligences, because parasite eggs need host bodies, because larvae feed on consciousness, because alien life cycle requires what we have and extracts it lethally. Not choice, not morality, not decision. Biological necessity. Evolution produced species whose survival requires our death. Compulsion beyond control. Instinct beyond negotiation. Or perhaps simulation hypothesis applies. Earth is not real. Humans are not conscious. We are computer program. Sophisticated simulation running on alien hardware. 3I-ATLAS is debug routine. Clearing corrupted data. Eliminating glitched experiment. Our suffering meaningless because we do not actually exist. Cannot suffer if you are not real. Cannot die if you never lived. Deletion as maintenance. Extinction as cleanup. The xenopsychology teams compile every theory, evaluate every possibility, apply Bayesian analysis weighing evidence, and reach conclusion. We do not know, cannot understand motivation alien to human experience, cannot comprehend goals emerging from different evolutionary pressures, cannot predict behavior from minds shaped by selection forces we never faced. 3I-ATLAS acts, behaves, approaches. But why? What drives them? What motivates journey across stars specifically to cause harm? The question remains unanswered, unanswerable. Locked behind gulf of incomprehension separating species. Maybe they attack for resources, maybe space, maybe preemptive threat elimination, maybe incompatible values, maybe trophy collection, maybe scientific research, maybe sadism, maybe reproduction, maybe simulation cleanup, maybe reasons beyond human conception, maybe motivations requiring mathematics we have not discovered, and physics we do not understand. The not knowing might be worst part, dying without understanding why, ending without comprehension, extinction as mystery, answering why they came with silence, with confusion, with desperate speculation producing no certainty. If we knew, maybe death feels different. If we understood, maybe extinction becomes acceptable. If comprehension existed, maybe we die with meaning. But we do not know, cannot know, will not know. 3I-ATLAS keeps motivation secret, reveals nothing through communication, discloses nothing through behavior beyond hostile intent. The why remains locked, sealed, buried beneath alien psychology impenetrable to human analysis. So we guess, theorize, hypothesize, build models, test predictions, apply scientific method to entities defying scientific understanding, and fail, and continue failing, and die failing to understand why death comes. Perhaps that is the point. Perhaps not knowing is intentional. Perhaps confusion is weapon. Perhaps uncertainty is strategy. Keep prey ignorant. Keep victims guessing. Deny comprehension. Deny meaning. Deny dying with understanding of why they die. Or perhaps 3I-ATLAS simply does not care whether we understand. Does not consider our comprehension relevant. Proceeds with goals regardless of human confusion. Explains nothing because explanation serves no purpose. Because ants do not deserve explanation when you fumigate house. Alien motivations remain decoded only in broadest terms. Hostile intent confirmed. Specific reasons unknown. Specific goals unclear. Specific outcomes unpredictable. We face enemy we do not understand. Cannot understand. Will not understand before end comes. And maybe, probably, certainly, that makes extinction worse. Dying in confusion. Dying in ignorance. Dying while asking why and receiving no answer. 3I-ATLAS knows why. Knows its goals. Knows its motivations. Knows what it wants and why it travels and what it plans. But humans die guessing. And guess wrong, probably because alien minds are alien precisely because understanding them requires being them, which we are not, will never be, cannot become. So we end in darkness, intellectual darkness, dying without enlightenment, extinguished while asking questions that go unanswered. Why did you come? Why do you attack? Why do we die? 3I-ATLAS responds with silence. And silence, in this case, is cruelest answer possible, the survival timeline. 3I-ATLAS reaches Earth orbit on December the 5th at 1400 hours universal time. The projections proved accurate, AV lobe calculated correctly. The timeline matches prediction. Everything unfolds as scientists warned governments months ago, and yet arrival still shocks, still freezes, still makes real what was theoretical. The mothership positions itself at geostationary altitude, 35,786 kilometers above equator, matching Earth rotation, hovering over Pacific Ocean, visible from surface as bright star that does not move, not twinkling, not following stellar paths, just hanging, watching, waiting. First 24 hours nothing happens. 3I-ATLAS holds position, silent, inactive. The probes on surface continue transmitting, but mothership takes no action. No weapons deployed, no communications, no movement, just presence, just mass, just 24 kilometers of alien engineering hanging in sky like sword of Damocles. Humanity holds breath, waits, watches, monitors, every telescope pointed upward, every sensor active, every military, on highest alert, finger on trigger, ready to respond, ready to fight, ready to die. But 3I-ATLAS does nothing, simply exists, simply dominates sky with physical reality of invasion. psychological warfare, demonstrating power, showing inevitability, breaking morale before firing shot, classic strategy, Sun Tzu would approve, defeat enemy before battle begins, make resistance seem futile, make surrender seem rational, the waiting is weapon, the silence is attack. Hour 26, probes on surface activate simultaneously, energy discharge, electromagnetic pulse, powerful burst, electronics worldwide fail, satellites tumbling, communications severed, power grids collapsing, every system dependent on microchips fried instantly, computers dead, phones dead, cars dead, civilization's technological infrastructure eliminated in seconds. The EMP is surgical, precise, calculated to disable without destroying, to blind without killing, reducing humanity to pre-electronic capability, leaving us functional but helpless, leaving us alive but defenseless, leaving us capable of experiencing what comes next without capability to prevent it. Day 2. Kinetic bombardment begins. 3I-ATLAS releases projectiles, small, dense, accelerated to hypersonic velocity, rods from God but alien scale, tungsten or depleted uranium or exotic materials, impacting military installations, nuclear silos, naval bases, air force bases, command centers, strategic infrastructure. Precision strikes destroying defense capability. Each impact releases energy equivalent to small nuclear weapon, kinetic energy converting to heat and shockwave. Explosions visible from space, mushroom clouds without radiation, clean destruction, efficient elimination. No nuclear winter, no electromagnetic pulse. Just targeted devastation removing human ability to coordinate military response. Casualty count immediate. Million dead first hour. 5 million by nightfall. 10 million by dawn. Not civilians, not cities, not populations. Just military personnel. Just soldiers. Just people who might have fought back. Strategic genocide. Selective elimination. Leaving workers. Leaving infrastructure. Taking only combatants. The pattern reveals intent. 3I-ATLAS wants Earth intact, wants humans reduced but not eliminated, wants labour force, wants biological resources, wants something other than empty rock. This is not extinction. This is subjugation. Day 5. Atmospheric processors deploy. Metallic spheres released from mothership. Descending into stratosphere. 30,000 meters altitude. Beginning chemical conversion. Altering atmospheric composition. Increasing nitrogen. Reducing oxygen. Shifting temperature. Changing Earth environment to suit alien biology. Humans suffocate slowly. Not immediately. Not dramatically. Just gradual decline. Oxygen percentage dropping from 21% to 19%, then 17%, then 15%. Altitude sickness without altitude. Hypoxia without climbing. Breathing harder. Moving slower. Thinking fuzzily. Dying over weeks as atmosphere becomes unbreathable. Underground facilities seal. Bunkers close. Submarines submerge. Anywhere with independent life support. Anywhere with oxygen generation. Anywhere offering survival beyond weeks of atmospheric conversion. Billions lack access. Billions trapped surface side. Billions breathing progressively toxic air. Dying in place. Suffocating in homes. Military attempts response. Fighter jets scramble. Missiles launch. Nuclear weapons deployed. Everything remaining after kinetic bombardment. Everything functional after EMP. Everything capable of reaching geostationary orbit. Humanity's final attack. Final defiance. Final attempt to hurt enemy causing extinction. 3I-ATLAS activates point defense. Weapons appearing across hull surface. Laser emplacements. Particle beams. Kinetic interceptors. Every incoming projectile destroyed. Every missile vaporized. Every nuclear warhead detonated prematurely at safe distance. Human weapons exploding harmlessly kilometers from target. Fireworks. Light show. Proof of impotence. The battle lasts 6 hours. Human forces expend remaining arsenal. Thousands of missiles. Hundreds of aircraft. Everything capable of flight or explosive delivery. Everything thrown desperately at mothership that refuses to die. That refuses to suffer. That refuses to acknowledge attack as threat. And when ammunition exhausts. When missiles deplete. When last bomber falls burning from sky. 3I-ATLAS remains undamaged. Unchanged. Untroubled. hanging in orbit exactly as before, demonstrating futility, demonstrating inevitability, demonstrating that resistance accomplished nothing except accelerating human death. Week 2, ground forces deploy from mothership. Landers descending, alien troops, actual extraterrestrials in physical form, not probes, not automated systems, living beings, soldiers, warriors, conquerors, landing near major cities, establishing perimeters, beginning occupation. They stand 3 meters tall, arthropod body plan, exoskeleton, 6 limbs, 4 for locomotion, 2 manipulators, compound eyes, no visible mouth, breathing through spiracles, moving with insect precision, operating in coordinated groups, communicating through means humans cannot detect, efficient, deadly, unstoppable, armed with weapons beyond human technology, energy projectors, plasma rifles, molecular disruptors, tools that make human weapons look primitive, that kill instantly, that pierce armor, that defeat any defense. Individual soldier capable of defeating platoon, individual weapon capable of destroying building, individual alien worth 100 humans in combat. Ground warfare is slaughter, not battle, massacre. Human forces attacking with conventional weapons, bullets bouncing off exoskeletons, explosives causing minimal damage, even direct tank fire insufficiently powerful. The aliens advance through, resistance like walking through rain. Inconvenient but not dangerous. Annoying but not threatening. Cities fall rapidly. New York, London, Tokyo, Beijing, Moscow. Every major population center. Aliens establishing control zones, herding humans, separating groups, processing populations, not killing everyone, not immediately, selecting, sorting, taking some, leaving others, criteria unknown, decisions arbitrary from human perspective. Month 1, casualty count reaches 1 billion, not from combat, from atmospheric conversion, from starvation after supply chains break, from disease after sanitation fails, from exposure after infrastructure collapses. Civilization kills more humans than aliens, dependency on complex systems becoming fatal when systems fail. Underground populations survive, bunkers, mines, submarine bases, deep shelters with years of supplies and closed life support. Thousands of humans hiding, tens of thousands, maybe hundreds of thousands, isolated pockets resisting, maintaining independence, surviving in darkness while surface becomes alien territory. Guerrilla warfare emerges, humans attacking from shadows, hit and run, sabotage, assassination attempts, causing minor damage, killing occasional alien, destroying equipment, slowing occupation, not stopping, not winning, but fighting, resisting, surviving through making conquest expensive. The aliens adapt, learn, counter. Human tactics become ineffective. Ambush sites get detected. Resistance cells get located. Fighters get eliminated. Systematically, methodically, efficiently. Each human attack teaching aliens. Each battle providing intelligence. Each victory temporary. Each defeat permanent. Month 3. Human population down to 4 billion. Half dead. Half surviving precariously. Half scattered between alien-controlled zones and wilderness areas and underground shelters. Half still breathing toxic atmosphere slowly killing them. Half watching family die. Friends die. Neighbors die. Civilization die. Organized resistance collapses. No coordination. No communication. No leadership. Every group isolated. Every cell independent. Every survivor focused on personal survival rather than species survival. Guerrilla war devolving into random violence. Individuals attacking desperately, achieving nothing, dying meaninglessly. The aliens establish infrastructure, buildings, facilities, atmospheric processing stations, energy generation, transportation networks, creating civilization, their civilization, on top of human ruins, using human resources, occasionally using human labor, enslaving survivors, working them, using them, disposing when broken. Month 6, population 3 billion, atmospheric conversion complete, oxygen percentage stabilized at 12%, barely breathable for humans, adequate for aliens, everyone surface side adapted or dead, survived or suffocated, reached equilibrium with new atmospheric composition, Living diminished, but living, the aliens begin. Terraforming, not just atmosphere, entire planet. Oceans acidifying, temperature increasing, ecosystems collapsing, alien organisms introduced, biosphere converting, Earth becoming different world, alien world, suitable for colonists from 3I-ATLAS, unsuitable for humans who evolved here. Underground populations recognize reality, atmosphere converted, surface lost, aliens victorious, humanity reduced to hiding, to surviving in shelters, to waiting for atmospheric processes to fail, or aliens to leave, or some miracle that will not occur. The war is over, humans lost. Question now is whether any survive long term, whether any persist, whether extinction is delayed or merely postponed. Year 1, human population 2 billion, down 60% from initial contact. Most deaths from indirect causes: starvation, disease, environmental collapse, atmospheric toxicity. Not direct combat, not alien weapons, just civilization failure and ecological destruction, an inability to survive in world becoming alien. Surface populations slave or dead, underground populations hiding or dying slowly. No victory possible, no hope reasonable, no future imaginable, just survival. Day by day, week by week, month by month, enduring, persisting, existing without living, breathing without thriving, surviving without hope. The survival timeline is complete. 1 year from first contact to permanent occupation, 1 year from discovery to enslavement, 1 year from hope to despair. Fast enough to prevent adaptation, slow enough to maximize suffering, efficient enough to preserve resources, brutal enough to eliminate resistance. Humanity survives, barely, reduced, conquered, enslaved, no longer masters of Earth, no longer dominant species, no longer relevant except as labour, as biological resources, as curiosities, as slaves. 3I-ATLAS won, completely, decisively, inevitably. The war lasted 1 year, the occupation is permanent, the future is alien, and somewhere in darkness underground final humans survive. Remember, wait, hope hopelessly for day that will not come, for rescue that does not exist, for miracle that is not coming. Humanity survived. But survival sometimes is worse than extinction. Because living as slaves under alien masters in poisonous atmosphere on conquered planet is not living, is existing, is enduring, is suffering prolonged, and maybe, probably, death would have been mercy. But mercy was never option, was never considered, was never offered. 3I-ATLAS came to take Earth, and Earth is taken, and humans exist in margins, in shadows, in darkness, surviving, because extinction was too kind. The final question. Could humanity actually win? The question haunts every simulation, every analysis, every war game, every strategic assessment, running scenarios, testing variables, searching desperately for path to victory that mathematics refuses to provide, looking for the 1% chance, the miracle, the twist ending where David defeats Goliath and primitive humans overcome technologically superior aliens through cleverness or courage or luck. The movies suggest it is possible. Independence Day, War of the Worlds, Battle Los Angeles, always the same story. Aliens arrive, aliens dominate, aliens appear unstoppable, then humans find vulnerability, exploit weakness, computer virus, biological pathogen, strategic target, destroy mothership, win war, celebrate survival, roll credits. But fiction follows narrative logic, requires satisfying conclusion, demands that heroes triumph. Reality follows physics, requires energy and materials and technology, demands that superior force usually wins. No guarantee of satisfying ending, no requirement that good defeats evil, no obligation that survival follows struggle. Still. Could we win? Scenario Alpha. Computer virus. Independence Day solution. Hack alien systems. Insert malicious code. Disable shields. Allow nuclear strike to penetrate. Destroy 3I-ATLAS from within using their own technology against them. Elegant. Poetic. Theoretically possible. Problems are obvious. Alien computer systems likely incompatible with human architecture. Different operating systems. Different programming languages. different hardware entirely. Cannot hack what you cannot interface with. Cannot insert virus without understanding target system. And no time exists for reverse engineering. No captured alien computers to study. No friendly defector explaining how systems work. Unless probes provide opportunity, captured probe contains computer systems, alien hardware, alien software, months of analysis, teams of experts, best hackers, best programmers, best computer scientists humanity can assemble, working continuously, attempting to understand alien digital architecture. They make some progress. Limited, insufficient. The systems are too different, too advanced, too protected. Encryption beyond human mathematics. Architecture beyond human comprehension. Quantum computing or photonic processing or neural networks using principles humans have not discovered. Cannot hack what you cannot understand. Cannot virus what you cannot access. Scenario alpha fails. Computer virus is fiction. Reality provides no vulnerability. Scenario beta, biological weapon, war of the world solution. Pathogen kills aliens, humans immune. Earth microbes that evolved separately. Bacteria or viruses aliens never encountered. No immunity, no defense. Infection spreads. Invasion force dies. Victory through biology rather than technology. H.G. Wells used this ending because in 1898 no better solution existed. Humanity lacked capability to defeat Martians with weapons. Required external salvation. Required aliens vulnerable to invisible enemies they never anticipated. Poetic. Metaphorical. Warning about imperialism and hubris. But analysis shows problems. 3I-ATLAS crossed interstellar space. Decades or centuries in transit. Sterile. Environment. No microbes, no bacteria, no viruses. Ship is clean room. Absolutely isolated. Any biological contamination would have killed crew during journey. Therefore crew evolved defences. Immune systems capable of handling novel pathogens. Medical technology exceeding anything humans possess. Even if Earth microbes infect aliens, they adapt. They cure. They eliminate. Within days, maybe hours. Biological weapons might cause casualties, might kill individuals, might create temporary crisis, but cannot eliminate invasion force, cannot defeat mothership, cannot achieve victory. Scenario beta fails. Biological weapons are insufficient. Scenario gamma. Strategic target. Find critical system. Mothership weakness. Reactor. Command center. Life support. Something whose destruction causes cascading failure. Send suicide mission. Kamikaze attack. One strike if done correctly. All eggs in one basket. All hope in one attack. Everything depending on finding and hitting vulnerability. The search begins. Analysing 3I-ATLAS through every sensor. Looking for heat signatures suggesting reactors. Looking for electromagnetic emissions suggesting command systems. Looking for structural weaknesses suggesting critical points. Months of observation. Terabytes of data. Thousands of analysts. They find nothing definitive. 3I-ATLAS is redundant. Distributed. No single point of failure. Reactor systems spread throughout hull. Command functions replicated. Life support localized. Designed for damage tolerance. Designed to survive losing sections. Designed specifically to prevent single strike from causing total failure. Military spacecraft are built this way. Warships designed assuming damage. Assuming battle. Assuming enemy attempts exactly this strategy. 3I-ATLAS is warship. 3I-ATLAS expects attack. 3I-ATLAS engineered against vulnerability. Even if strike succeeds, even if suicide mission penetrates and destroys target, 3I-ATLAS repairs, replaces, continues. Mothership damaged but functional. Invasion delayed but not stopped. Sacrifice buying time, not buying victory. Scenario Gamma fails. Strategic targets are insufficient. Scenario Delta. Asymmetric warfare. Guerrilla tactics. Insurgency. Make occupation costly. Make conquest painful. Make victory Pyrrhic. Cannot defeat 3I-ATLAS in direct combat, but can make staying expensive. Can bleed resources. Can force withdrawal through attrition rather than decisive battle. Historical examples support this. Afghanistan defeated Soviet Union. Vietnam defeated United States. Insurgents beating superpowers through refusing to surrender, through melting into populations, through attacking supply lines, through making occupation unsustainable, could work against aliens, underground resistance, hit-and-run attacks, sabotage, make Earth not worth keeping, make humans not worth enslaving, make cost exceed benefit, force 3I-ATLAS to decide Earth is more trouble than value. But analysis shows problems. Insurgency requires population supporting fighters, requires supply lines, requires safe havens, requires time. Atmospheric conversion eliminates population. Occupation eliminates supply lines. Aliens control everything. No safe havens exist. Time works against humans, not for them. And aliens might not care about costs, might not calculate benefit, might not withdraw regardless of casualties, because sunk cost fallacy affects humans, maybe not aliens, because commitment escalation affects human psychology, maybe not alien psychology, because face-saving matters to human leaders, may be irrelevant to alien command. Scenario Delta fails, guerrilla warfare is insufficient. Scenario Epsilon, external rescue, other aliens, friendly civilization, galactic police, someone monitoring developing species, someone protecting primitive worlds from exploitation, someone enforcing cosmic law against genocide. They detect 3I-ATLAS attacking Earth. They intervene. They save humanity. Deus ex machina. Cavalry arriving. Last-minute salvation. Pure fantasy. No evidence suggests friendly aliens exist. No signals detected. No contact made. No indication anyone watches or cares. Universe appears empty except for 3I-ATLAS. And if other intelligences exist, why would they help? What obligation do they have? What interest do they possess? Humans are unknown, irrelevant, primitive, not worth saving, not worth risking conflict with 3I-ATLAS. Scenario Epsilon fails. Rescue is fiction. Scenario Zeta. Time. Wait. Survive. Outlast. 3I-ATLAS has finite resources. Finite fuel, finite supplies, finite patience. Cannot occupy Earth forever. Eventually leaves. Eventually moves on. Eventually humanity emerges from hiding and reclaims planet. Victory through persistence. Through refusing to die completely. Through maintaining ember of civilization until storm passes. Centuries maybe. Millennia. Waiting in bunkers. Breeding. Surviving. Maintaining culture. Maintaining knowledge. Maintaining hope across generations who never see sky. Living underground until aliens go extinct or lose interest or encounter something forcing withdrawal. This scenario maybe works. Maybe. If bunkers hold, if supplies last, if survivors maintain cohesion, if children stay committed to ancestors' resistance. Big ifs. Uncertain. Unprovable. But possible. Perhaps only possibility. Hide. Wait. Hope. Survive. Not victory. Not triumph. Not heroic. Just grinding endurance. Just refusing extinction. Just biological persistence until circumstances change. Small chance. Slim chance. But chance. So could humanity win? Probably not. Almost certainly not. Technology gap too large. Resource disparity too extreme. Strategic position too disadvantaged. Every conventional scenario fails. Every military option proves insufficient. Every weapon proves inadequate. But maybe through time, through patience, through becoming roaches surviving, nuclear war, through being species that refuses to die even when all reasonable paths to survival close, through evolutionary stubbornness, through biological imperative to persist, not the victory movies portray, not the triumph politicians promise, not the salvation religions predict, just existence, just continuation, just survival in diminished form, waiting for circumstances to change. 3I-ATLAS is probably unstoppable, probably unbeatable, probably victorious regardless of human effort. Mathematics supports this, physics supports this, analysis supports this, evidence supports this. But humans survived ice ages, survived volcanoes, survived plagues, survived disasters that eliminated most life, survived through being adaptable, being stubborn, being reluctant to die even when death seems inevitable. Maybe that is enough. Maybe that is only advantage we possess. Not technology, not weapons, not strategy, just refusal, just persistence, just grinding biological imperative to survive regardless of cost or circumstance or rationality. 3I-ATLAS can conquer Earth, can kill billions, can enslave survivors, can can transform planet, can dominate completely, but can they eliminate humanity entirely? Can they hunt down every bunker? Can they sterilize every shelter? Can they extinguish every ember? Can they guarantee extinction? Maybe not. Maybe some survive. Hidden, deep, patient, waiting. Generations in darkness, centuries underground, millennia if necessary. Maintaining knowledge, maintaining culture, maintaining humanity even in unrecognizable form. Not victory, not triumph, not the ending anyone wants, but survival, continuation, existence, the species persisting, not thriving, not conquering, just being, just refusing non-being, just saying no to extinction. And maybe, centuries hence, millennia hence, when 3I-ATLAS is gone or dead or distracted, humans emerge. Reclaim surface, rebuild civilization, remember invasion, remember occupation, remember survival, and grow, and expand. And eventually possibly encounter 3I-ATLAS again, with different outcome, with different technology, with different result. That is the final question answered. Could humanity win? No. Not in any time frame mattering to current generation. Not through any strategy currently conceivable. Not through any means currently available. But could humanity survive? Maybe. Possibly, perhaps, if lucky, if stubborn, if unwilling to accept extinction even when extinction seems certain. Not the answer anyone wants, not inspiring, not heroic, not satisfying, but honest, but realistic. But matching what history shows about human capacity for endurance. We probably lose the war, but maybe, just maybe, we survive losing. And survival, even diminished survival, even centuries of hiding, even existence barely recognizable as human, is better than extinction. 3I-ATLAS can have Earth, can have victory, can have dominance, but maybe cannot have extinction, cannot have complete elimination, cannot have certainty that humans are gone forever, and that small uncertainty, that tiny possibility, that microscopic chance, that is the 1% scenario, that is the miracle, that is hope. Not hope for victory, hope for persistence, hope that something of humanity continues, somewhere, somehow, sometime. The final question is answered. We cannot win, but maybe we can survive losing. Maybe survival is its own form of victory. Maybe existing is enough when extinction is alternative. 3I-ATLAS approaches, arrives, conquers, occupies, dominates, wins. And somewhere in darkness humans survive. Wait, hope, persist. Because extinction is hard, and humans are stubborn, and maybe stubbornness is enough. Thank you for listening, thank you for staying until the end. Thank you for following this thought experiment about what would happen if 3I-ATLAS is really a hostile alien mothership. Thank you for accompanying me through this exploration of humanity's darkest hypothetical. Remember, this is speculation. This is what if. 3I-ATLAS is almost certainly a comet, almost certainly natural, almost certainly not a threat. But thinking about worst-case scenarios helps us prepare, helps us understand ourselves, helps us recognize both our vulnerabilities and our strengths. If you enjoyed this exploration, please like and subscribe, share your thoughts in the comments, tell me where you are listening from and what you think about humanity's chances against advanced aliens. Do you think we could survive? Do you think cooperation would emerge? Do you think hope is reasonable? This has been a speculative documentary, a thought experiment, a journey into possibility, not prediction, not certainty, just exploration of what might happen if the unthinkable occurred. Sleep well. Look up at the stars. Appreciate that we are probably alone, probably safe, probably not facing extinction from interstellar invaders. Probably. Good night.